Tomatoes are one of the absolute easiest plants to transplant. Their root system is very vigorous, and they're very tolerant of having their entire root system basically stripped off of them if you mess it up. So this is a really great plant to start with as a beginner gardener when you don't feel like you're quite sure what you're doing. Tomatoes are going to be really hard for you to mess up. So I've been using these red solo cups for a few seasons now. They've got a hole poked in the bottom, and the tray that I'm putting them in I actually got for free from the garden center of my local Lowe's. These big garden centers tend to have areas where you can just grab old trays that they don't want. It's the same area where you would bring trays like that if you were going to recycle them. I'm going to start by filling all these cups about halfway, because with tomatoes you can plant them very deep, and they will actually do better if you plant them very deep. There are a lot of plants where you don't want to ever plant them any deeper than the soil level where they came out of, but tomatoes you can basically plant almost all the way up to the top. You just need about 3 sets of leaves showing and your tomatoes will be doing just fine. Tomatoes are a vining plant, and they are very specifically built to be able to make new roots all the way up and down their stem. That's what all those little hairs are on a tomato if you've ever looked real close. So planting them deeper is going to encourage them to make a more robust root system for when you transplant them out into your garden. When I started my seedlings, I started them in a mix of compost and peat moss, but now that I'm potting them up, I'm just potting them up into regular, cheap potting soil. I'm just gonna fill in dirt all the way around my little seedling up to the top lip of the cup. I'm gonna leave just a little bit of space between the soil and the top of the cup, because when I water, I want the water to be able to kind of pool on top before it goes down into the soil, and I don't want it to kind of run off the top. When you're separating your plants out, all you really need to do is just carefully pry them apart with your fingers. If you find that they're stuck really close together, just shake more and more of your soil off of them very gently until the roots become detangled and you can kind of gently shake and pull them apart. Again, even if you accidentally rip all the roots off of your tomato seedling, while it won't be quite as healthy as it would have been, it will still be okay. If you actually do take off all the roots, I recommend sticking it in a cup of water for a couple of days before then transplanting it back into soil. With tomatoes, you can actually take cuttings this way and root them in water, and they will very quickly grow their own roots and be able to be potted up. So same with the seedlings, if you accidentally screw things up, you've got a plan. When I'm transplanting these, I'm taking as much of the original soil as possible, but obviously with some of these as close together as they are, some are getting way more soil than others, and that is totally okay. And like I said, you can plant these pretty much as deep as you want, as long as some of the leaves at the top are still poking out. I actually prefer to pull off the first little baby seedling leaves on a lot of these plants, such that I can plant them deeper. So if those leaves would be under the soil for you as you're planting them, you can just pinch them off with your fingernail, and it's not going to hurt the plant at all. Quick shout out to my dad, who made this lovely potting bench for me out of old decking material. You can check out exactly how he made it on his channel, Red Truck Woodshop, linked below. Now, the way I have my tray system set up, I would prefer to be watering from the bottom, but because I'm working with a bunch of free stuff, the tray keeps the cups too high up to be able to water from the bottom. So right now I'm just watering from the top, and I'll probably do this from a jug later on as well. If you're interested in my grow light setup, links to the things that I use are below. These will be here for a couple of weeks until it is safe to start hardening them off outside. Right after you transplant your tomatoes, they will usually look incredibly sad and floppy, and this is totally normal. This happens to me every single time, but within 12 hours, they've usually perked up as long as you've given them a good amount of water. If you liked this content and would rather watch it without ads, please consider supporting my Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can watch all these videos ad-free, usually early, and you'll also get access to some content that I only share on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy gardening!